What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sabo, right here. Welcome to Behind the Scenes, a day in the life in Saboville. Short story is, when I got to basic training, my drill sergeant could never pronounce my last name, which is Caicedo, so he chopped it up to Sado. So throughout basic training, it was always Sado. Private Sado, report, boom, boom, boom. Got to my first duty station in Fort Hood, Texas. Brand new private. We were doing training in the motor pool, and my first line supervisor, my sergeant, I guess it clicked to him. I was learning how to load rounds, and I forgot what the time frame was. I think it was no less than 6 seconds loading a Sabo round. And then he asked me again what was my last name or what did they call me, and I said, well, they called me Sado in basic training. So it just clicked to him. I guess he saw a Sabo round and it said, you know what, from now on, Sabo, your name is Sabo. And they just stuck. And then when I started doing music, I needed an artist name. So I was like, damn, what artist name should I go with? And I said, you know what, everybody already knows me as Sabo, so I just kept it. So that's how Sabo came about, which is a 120 millimeter round for the M1A2 Sep tank. I was in the service for about 5.5 years, active duty, Army. I struggled with the transition. I struggled with trying to find my identity once I was out, figuring out what I needed to do. But I did know, for one, was I didn't want to be that statistic where a lot of my guys who got out after the first deployment, they couldn't hack it in the civilian world, so they found themselves re-enlisting and getting back into the service. And I think it was at 80% return rate. So I told myself, I'm not gonna be one of them guys. I'm gonna figure out some way, somehow, shape or form to make it in the civilian world. So I struggled. And then eventually, you know, I started private contracting to Afghanistan overseas. And obviously throughout that whole time, I was still doing music and eventually growing my business, growing my brand, and here we are. I grew up in music. I was always into music, you know, whether it was Spanish, salsa, merengue, whether it was hip hop, pop. I was always found myself gravitated towards music. So when we got to my first duty station, I found, which is how NSA Entertainment began. It was five veterans who kind of just clicked together through music, and we all came from different parts of the world. So that means we all claimed different colors, whether it was Crip, Blood, Folk, different gangs. And at the end of the day, we came together and said, you know what? We're all repping Army Green now, so this is the new chapter of our lives. Some of us already had families, like myself. I already had a kid, and stand by. Well, I gotta go north. And so from that day on, we got to our first deployment to Iraq. I found myself recording in my little chew, my little Connex, however you want to describe it. And I found that while everybody was doing different things, going to the gym on their off time, a little bit of off time we had, sleep, I found myself recording and doing music. And eventually that brought other soldiers in to kind of get their mind off of mission, a way to decompress, a way to a way for them to focus on different things other than I gotta be on mission in an hour. Eventually, when I got back to the States, I took that power and pretty much took it mainstream, and that's when I started doing shows. I started touring in Killeen, Texas, Temple, Austin, Texas, doing different shows here and there, open mics, wherever the music was, I was there. And there was 5 of us that started. One of them died in Iraq, my roommate. Jonathan Shields, and the other 4 pretty much went their different ways. And then it was up to me when I got out the service to decide whether to start over or rebrand NSA Entertainment. And when I moved to Florida, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take everything that I worked for this whole time, and I'm just gonna push forward and continue mission. NSA it stands for Never Struggle Again. So no matter where the journey in your life takes you, there's always going to be a struggle, whether it's emotional, physical, intellectual, spiritual. There's always going to be a struggle. So the goal is to get on a path that takes you to a place, an enlightened state of mind, where you will never struggle again. And even to the point where if you are struggling, you're in a mental capacity that it doesn't overwhelm your way of thinking. So a lot of us take a small problem and make it a bigger problem than what it is. So the goal is to get to a mental state of mind where that big problem can be minute, and as long as you're on the right path, whether it's physical, meditation, spiritually, financially, multiple side hustles, becoming an entrepreneur, a successful business owner, whatever the case may be financially, the goal is to never struggle again. So you could be I put it in my rhymes, you could be the best toilet bowl cleaner, or you could be the best entrepreneur. It don't matter which route the life takes you, just be the best at what you're doing, and eventually windows and doors will open to where you can reach other masters. Continue mission comes from the warfighter mentality. I'm pretty sure a lot of us can relate, whether we're on mission or we're in the rear D or we're in a garrison. And if you hit an obstacle, they always tell you, we never retreat, we always continue mission. So that's what the mentality comes from. Even though you might feel overwhelmed with anxiety or PTSD or social anxiety, whatever the case may be, the goal is to continue mission, no matter what you do. Keep moving forward, and eventually those big obstacles become little obstacles, and at one point in time you might need assistance in climbing that wall. Eventually they become little puddles where you can just hop, skip over them. And that's the mentality of continuing mission, no matter what you do.
So here we are, no more playing games, back against the wall, hands up, cash up, I want it all. Everyone on the ground, don't make a sound, cause I have plenty around. Think of the family, don't nobody move.
There is a multitude of outlets that veterans have in their disposal, whether it's horse therapy, whether it's fishing, hunting, shooting ranges, physical activity, CrossFits, 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons, whatever you want to. There are a multitude of outlets. The goal is to introduce them to music therapy, whether if you're playing an instrument physically, or you're singing, or you're in production, engineering, even if you venture off into photography or directing films, short films. The goal is to introduce that veteran to a different outlet where they can express themselves in a creative base and pretty much put whatever thoughts they have in their head on paper, right? And that's an outlet of them to pretty much do you explain it? Pretty much open themselves up instead of isolating themselves. So the more and more you do it, the easier it gets, in my perspective. The more you talk about it, the more you don't hold things in, because eventually you're going to explode, or eventually you're going to lean towards other substances, whether it's drugs or alcohol, or violence. So if you're able to utilize that pain, that internal pain that you feel like you're alone in this world, and you don't think nobody wants to listen or even cares to listen, well, you're wrong. Because there's millions of veterans out there going through pretty much the same things you are going through. So you'd be surprised if your outlet becomes somebody else's inspiration. And being mindful of that, you'd be surprised on how many other veterans you can help battle, veteran suicide, or battle any type of depression, anxiety, things of that nature. I wouldn't say organizations. I would say more of like-minded individuals who has helped me throughout the journey, whether it's been good or whether it's been bad, because you learn off your mistakes, you learn off your lessons. So I would say individuals throughout my journey, and if they belong to certain networks like VOSF, Veteran South Florida, like the Veteran of Foreign Wars, the VFW, the American Legions, other music-related networks, I would say I find myself more involved with the actual individual and what their story is and what they bring to the table. Everybody has a story. So you got to remember, everybody has a story. It's just, are you willing to take the time to listen to that individual's story and figure out if that person fits right into your aura and your program? And if so, then you guys become I would say, a perfect match, where you guys are able to help elevate yourselves throughout the process. Absolutely. First names that come to mind, and don't hate me if I don't mention you, but the first names that come to mind is Matt Eversmith. He was in the conflict of Somalia. Everybody knows the story behind Black Hawk Down. He's now he travels the state. I'm pretty sure he travels nationwide as a public speaker, as a keynote speaker. He's a published author. Also, Mike Durkee. He is the I want to say co-founder of Wounded Veterans Relief Fund, helping a lot of veterans with financial assistance throughout the state. Wade and Phil, who they belong to, they got they're also veteran business owners with Patriot Nutrition. They do a lot in the community through physical activities like they're part of a CrossFit gym. There's so many names out there, man. So many names out there who I continue to work and maintain contact to basically continue to reach out. No, nothing's impossible. With the right mindset, the right foundation, and the proper intestinal fortitude, anything could be accomplished. You gotta be ambitious and gotta know what you want to do. You can't be that guy on the couch expecting a handout. I want to say this, bro. I'm going to go on a little tantrum. When I first got out of the service, I was one of those guys who felt entitled. I wanted my military discount. How dare you not give us a military discount? Don't you know that I lost buddies in Iraq? I lost buddies in Afghanistan. and you can't even give us a proper discount for whatever services. I was one of those guys, bitter, disgruntled, and you have to be able to change that mindset to take away the entitlement of yourself and come into terms that nobody owes you shit, right? Nobody's gonna give you shit. You gotta want and you gotta need everything that you want for yourself and for your family. So you gotta get out of the mindset where if you're on that couch and you're disgruntled and you're just hating life and all you're doing is watching the news, which is giving you more anxiety, and you constantly on medication and you're not doing shit for yourself, I'm not putting you down at all. I'm just saying that you haven't given yourself an opportunity to venture off and become a possible inspiration to others. Nothing's impossible. I wouldn't say last words, but I'll end with this. Don't market yourself and pride yourself as being a disgruntled veteran. Nobody wants that. No employer wants that. No company out here looking for veterans want a disgruntled veteran. No friend wants that. If you're constantly negative and you're constantly down on your luck, nobody wants a disgruntled veteran. How about you alter your mindset and become a functional veteran? You obviously joined the military for whatever reasons. You became a public servant. Well, you continue that mindset once you get out. Just because you're not in the service no more doesn't undervalue your existence. Continue to contribute to society, whether it's just the veteran community or society itself. Continue to better yourself, continue to evolve, continue to help pay it forward for other struggling vets who haven't found their outlet, haven't found their way. Don't just give up on life, because life is going to continue moving with or without you. So to end this is Sabo, and I approve this message.